Good evening, Tanyalee.
Everybody, thanks for having me.
Thank you for being on. Now, what do you feel about this film? I mean, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It's a classic. I would have thought Disney might have been a little frightened about getting involved in that film, remaking it in these sensitive times, but they're going ahead with it. This project's been trundling on for 3 years. It is, of course, caught in a kind of wokery row. Now, Peter Dinklage, the actor from Game of Thrones, says it reinforces stereotypes about people with dwarfism. I mean, I'm not sure what he means there, Tanyalee, because, I mean, is seven dwarves living in a cave? Is that a stereotype? I've never heard of any other people of restricted growth who live in caves. Have you?
Wow, I mean, if the rent is good, I mean, it sounds like a good deal to me, especially if you've got some lady that's going to cook and clean for you too. So, come on, there's benefits. Yeah.
I'm not sure that that's the way Disney are looking at this. But don't you feel, Tanya Lee, and it'll be a more sort of personal issue to you than it is to me. But it's a classic film. It's a fairy tale. If you're going to remake it, remake it. Don't get lost in all this wokery, making snow not white, worrying about the dwarves, whether or not they're going to reinforce stereotypes. I mean, you're going to have people of restricted growth in this film, aren't you?
Well, I agree. So my opinion is that, listen, Peter Dinklage is a classically trained actor. He is fantastic. He is the top of his echelon. But he was also, his career took off in New York, where he was associated with actors and writers and people that ended up. His big break was a movie role called The Station Agent, which was written for him. Well, us little people, there's not enough parts out there, and this is an opportunity for at least seven little people to get a job in a blockbuster Disney production. And you know what? That's a way in for them. And it could lead to major substantial roles that are maybe not so, dwarf friendly, if
Mm.
you will, more hokey. But I think it's a great opportunity. I don't think it should be shunned. If they're going to make Disney movies, why not make that one? It is a classic.
Yeah, I agree. It's a nice idea, but of course, it has now been lost in a swirling mass of wokery, and Disney is going through the seven hoops of hell trying to get this right for the new sensitive audience, and they've landed themselves in one hell of a lot of trouble. I mean, I think it's kind of strange to cast a Latino actress as Snow White, but I certainly, I know why they've done it, and fine. But in terms of the accusation that this film is backward looking and reinforces stereotypes about dwarves, I don't get that because, do you know any dwarves who live in caves?
No, not particularly. That's the thing. It's based on a children's classic, and you take it for what it is. And the thing is people are not yelling out of cars, oh my God, look at the dwarf. They're using other terminology. So it's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. We are people with dwarfism.
Yeah.
So that makes us dwarves. I mean, you use the term restricted growth, which I find hysterical. That is not a term that we use in North America. It's very much a British thing. And, I just,
Tanya Lee, that's my rather feeble attempt to be woke. I'm not very good at being woke, but there is that term, the PORG, person of restricted growth. It is an attempt to be kind. Then there's little people, but as you say, in the end, dwarfism is a medical condition, and people who have that condition are called dwarves. Perhaps we should just go back to just using the straight up phrase. Would you prefer that?
I am absolutely fine with the term little person and dwarf. Like, those two terms are not demeaning to me. If you want to, you can call me by my name, which is ideal. But, in reference to, I am the little person, I am the dwarf comedian, whatever way, just don't call me late for dinner.
Do you find, let's talk about prejudice against people with dwarfism. I'm treading on eggshells here.
You're
Do,
right.
do you find it still to be a thing? I mean, in the past, I've known people like you who say that the worst thing about it is that because you're the same height as children, people tend to treat you like children.
Well, I have traveled all over the world. I've lived in different countries. I grew up in Canada, based in America, but I've traveled internationally. So, I understand people's kind of freaked outness about, seeing a little person. If I saw me walking down the street, I'd stare too. And when it comes to, dwarfism and what people are capable of, the one thing I noticed living in the UK was that when I wanted to do something, I was told, no, I'm sorry, you can't do that because you're handicapped or you're disabled. They never gave me an opportunity to even
Really?
try. And that's the biggest issue that I have with people with limited mindset. I may be short in stature, but your attitude is very, minimal. And you know what? Don't underestimate me because I'm 3 foot 3 inches tall. I am quite capable of a lot of things. And my entire life, I have proved people wrong. And I think that's probably the biggest issue that
When
I
did
have with sort of society.
when did you live in Britain, Tanyalee?
From 2016 to 2020, I lived in Norwich,
Okay.
in the county of Norfolk.
Yes.
I worked in schools with an anti-bullying campaign called Great As You
Mhm.
Are. So I went into schools, talked to kids, tried to empower and inspire them. And, because I think kids are bullying because they're not happy with themselves. And if we can instill our kids to be confident and respectful about their own bodies and themselves, they're less likely to bully other people. And therefore, then it goes back to what are little people capable of? They're capable of anything they set their minds to, just like anybody with any limited ability or, different ability.
Absolutely. So you weren't here that long ago then, and you did find that people sort of stood in the way of things that you wanted to do and didn't think you were capable of it. I mean, I would say it's entirely wrong to categorize someone like you as disabled or handicapped. Different is the word I'd use. Would that be fair?
Oh, absolutely. If you want to call me handicapped, disabled, the thing is, I don't get,
But you're not.
I was
You're
born,
not, are you?
I was Well, I was born in 1970, right? My entire attitude growing up was, I will do it to my best ability. So, right, I am not. But, we live in a day and age where people like to put everybody and themselves in boxes, right? So, if you tick all the boxes, that gives you, it's like a playing card. When you get, an introduction to somebody nowadays, they go, I've got this mental health problem. I've got this. And it's all these labels and things that they're pretty much making excuses for why they can't do something. And I'm just like, listen, just live the best life you can. It doesn't matter what shape, color, size, race you are, just be happy with who you are. And if more people felt that way, they'd be empowered and life would go on a lot easier for most people.
Damn right. To go back to Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, I mean, people want to be kind, and they want to treat people like you in the right way with respect. And what I'm trying to say is that I don't think you should be treated any differently to the way I'm treated. But sometimes that kindness we can overcompensate with it. And there was a big row here over in Britain, pantomimes that we have at Christmas, the big kids shows
Yes.
at the
Yes.
festive season. And everybody said, oh, we shouldn't, it's unfair to just stereotype people of restricted growth, little people, by making them play the dwarves in the pantomime Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And all the dwarf actors said, hang on a second, you're putting us out of work. This is the best bet we get all year. So sometimes in our attempts to be sensitive and kind, we're doing people out of work. And that's what worries me about the film as well.
Well, that is very true. People get offended on behalf of
Yeah.
other people. And it's not just little people, it's different types of organizations, And yes, it is always good with good intentions. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's like I can speak for myself. And yes, other dwarf actors, yes, that they are trying to get a job. There's the dwarf wrestling that is always controversial. Nobody's making these actors or these wrestlers or these people do anything. They are making a choice. If this is what they want to do for their life and it has no bearing on you, then just let them live their lives. They're supporting their family. They're paying their bills. They're not living off the system. It's a job. So therefore, I applaud you if you want to work, especially in this day and age, for anybody.
And to go back to the film, you and I, we're both all for it, as long as they don't tangle themselves up in absurd wokery. And the parts of the Seven Dwarfs must be played by dwarves.
Absolutely. I mean, it wouldn't, yes, Seven Dwarfs. The name is in the title.
Yes.
I mean, you can't mess that up. And it's also Snow White, and this, but they're already playing with that
they've
one.
messed
But yes,
that up.
no, it is Seven Dwarfs. You don't have the Snow White and the Seven Giants. So let's do this. That's 7 valuable jobs right there that could lead to, gosh knows, the next one of those dwarves, Happy Dwarf could end up with an Academy Award at the end of this. Who knows?
Fantastic talking to you, Tanyalee. I tell you what, I hope we'll talk before the film comes out, but when it does, you're going to review it for us, okay?
Okay, Kevin, thank you.
Thank you. Great talking to you. Tanyalee Davis, comedian from Florida. What a girl. Amazing.